welcome back. I'm going to show you something about a bale wrapper in today's video, but while we were walking down to where I left the tractor, I thought I could have a couple of shout outs while I'm busy walking down. So in no particular order, the first shout out is to AK, who does farming videos, but he doesn't do FS22, he does FS09 through to about FS13, I think is the latest one he does recordings of. And his videos are really awesome because they're quite nostalgic, and often what he's talking about might not even necessarily be to do with farming at all, it's just chewing the fat, but it's really quite interesting to watch. And the other shout out I want to do today is for Fury Machine Gaming. Now he does do FS22 videos, he does educational ones, and for people like me who have never ever done any farming in real life, so to speak of, and their knowledge is extremely limited, it can be really good. He teaches me so much. And the other good thing about his teaching videos is, like, some of the stuff he teaches me I take on board, like how many cows I can have for a certain size paddock and things like that. Other things he teaches me I decide, yeah, okay, that might be the realistic way of doing it, but I don't want to do it that way. Like the speed that some of the jobs get done at, I like to go a bit faster than that, so I don't go crazy, but I will sometimes do the speeds that the game allows me to do, even though I know that's unrealistically fast. And Fury Machine Gaming is absolutely fine with that. It's like, you know, I'll teach you how it's done, your choice what you do and don't take on board. So anyway, I'm going to show you, we're going to do some, so that's my two shout outs. So we're going to do some bale wrapping today, and we're going to use this little David Brown 996 60 horsepower. Now one of the things you'll notice is that it's got a set of Massey front loader arms on the front. The David Brown here and the International that I've got, which are both mods made by ARM Modding, you can fit front loader attachments to the front, but this Massey front loader arm here is the only one I've found in all of FS22 that actually fits on the tractor and works with the tractor. Now, I don't really mind having Massey labelled front loader arms on my tractor, because the way I figure it, when a farmer buys a new tractor, if he's got front loader arms from the old tractor that still fit on the new one, he'd probably just use them. You already spend enough money buying a new tractor, you're not necessarily going to buy a new set of front loader arms at the same time to go with it or anything. So to my way of thinking, it's actually quite realistic to have Massey Ferguson labelled front loader arms on a David Brown tractor, but if it's a problem, then so be it for you. Okay, so the bale wrapper I want to introduce you to today is this one here. Now it's got one downside to it and two really big upsides. So the downside first is it's part of the Goweil, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, the Goweil DLC pack. So you actually have to spend real money to buy this because it's part of a Giants DLC pack. That's the only downside of it. The upsides of it, and there's two really big upsides to this bale wrapper. The first is that because it's so small and light, you can use it on even the smallest of tractors, as you can see I'm doing right now. Okay, so even a very small tractor like this on a hilly field, no trouble whatsoever for it. Now I've chosen green wrap today. Normally I've always liked to use pink wraps. My wife likes pink bales in the fields, but on an Irish map, a green wrap just, I don't know, to me it feels more right somehow for an Irish map. So when I'm not playing an Irish map, I always use pink wrap. On an Irish map I use green. I'd actually like to change the colour of wrap I use with each season I do, but unfortunately I can only change wrap when the old one's finished. I can't sort of unload a half-used roll of wrap, which is unfortunate. Now I'm going to show you the other thing I love about this bale wrapper now. So just wait for it to finish wrapping here. Okay, so it's finished wrapping. If you want to just dump the bale on its side, you press Y and it dumps it exactly like that. Yeah. And we go and grab another bale here. Also, you don't have to grab the bales from the ends, it will automatically turn them, which I think all bale wrappers on FS22 will do that. I like to grab them from the end if I can, just that it looks more realistic. But yeah, it's not actually necessary. And then wait for this one to finish wrapping. And if you want to dump the bales on its end, which is really, really good on hilly paddocks and things, you go Control Y. And look at that, the bale gets dumped on its end instead of on its side. And there's a number of bale wrappers in this game that you can have the bales being dumped either way, but all of them that I've ever found involve actually going to the workshop and fitting a part to it to dump it on its end instead of its side, and then if you want to go back to side dumping for any reason, going back to the workshop and removing that part again. Whereas this one, it's fully fitted, it does both. Do you want to press Y or do you want to press Control Y when you're dumping the bale? Now I generally dump all my bales on the ends, it stops them from rolling on the hilly fields. I just dumped that other one on its side just to show you how that worked. Yeah, so having a bale wrapper, that can dump. Oh, actually I made a wrap. I'm going to have to go and grab more before I continue. So let's just. Now, the fact I'm out of rolls of wrap there, that's not part of this baler. That is a separate mod altogether, and that works on most bale wrappers. So I fit it to this one. But if you wanted to use a different bale wrapper instead, you can still download that mod where you have to actually replace the bale wrap. Now this is when I could change colour of the wrap if I wanted to. Once I reached the end of the rolls like that, it would allow me to load whatever colour I wanted. At the moment I only own green wrap, so it'll be green that I'm loading. Get back down to it. Now also with the mod where you have to buy the bale wrap, and you buy it by the pallet load, there's 3 or it might even be 4 different lengths of wrap you can buy. So I always buy the shortest lengths of wrap because I like to have to reload my wrap often. So I like to have the shortest one possible there. It's just to refill. You cannot. Oh, there you go. I have refilled it now. And as you can see, it holds 2 rolls of wrap, this one. So when the one that's now loaded is finished, it will automatically load that other one there. I won't have to go back to the to my pallet of wrap until I've used up 2 rolls. And some balers will hold more than 2 rolls. It depends on the size of the baler. And as I said, you can choose what size rolls you want as well if you don't want to have to refill your wrap quite so often. But I enjoy refilling it regularly, so I always buy the smallest rolls. One of the things I actually really enjoy with FS22 is any consumables that you have on the farm, so things like diesel, rolls of wrap, anything like that I like to have on my farm. I like to spend money on consumables. It stops me from building up money too quickly, because I've found even on the absolute hardest levels you can actually start to make money far too quickly. In fact, one of the things I sometimes do if my money builds up too much, and it's not too high at the moment because I've got a huge overdraft at the moment, which actually should put some of that 34,000 on. In fact, I might just do that now. Just give me a second here. There you go. So now it's down to 9,500 I've got left, but I've paid off a bit more of my overdraft. Yeah, so even on the hardest level, which I'm playing on, it seems to me that they don't charge all that much interest on your loans, and so it's all too easy to start building up big chunks of money too quickly. So one of the things I do, as well as playing on the hardest level, is once I have got the overdraft paid off and I'm beginning to build up too much money and things, I'll actually go into the XML of the game file and I'll take money away, or I'll increase an overdraft. So I'll give myself a big overdraft again and take some money away, because this is meant to be a small family run farm. It's not intended that I should make too much money at it or anything. But yeah, so, and that's one of the reasons that whenever there's an option of having consumables like wrap and diesel and stuff like that, I do it. You will notice that I don't use the netting mod for the bales. Now, the reason I don't use the netting mod is that it tends to not like too many other mods. There's too many other mods that it just won't play nicely with, so I did away with the netting mod and had the wrapping mod instead. But in theory, you can have both mods running simultaneously, so that all the bales get netting on them, and then you can wrap the bales with net on them if you want to. So, this is the last field of bales that we're wrapping now, and I've got 6 small fields of bales here that I've done, and I've got 50 bales from those 6 fields. So that's a pretty good haul. Because this farm is primarily a dairy farm, I do have 2 paddocks that I can do crops in, and the only reason I have those, that's the 2 we're facing towards one of them right now, and those 2 houses you can see on the right ahead of us, the other one's behind those houses. So that is 2 crop fields that I have, although they're both just in dirt at the moment. It's not the right season to be planting crops. The only reason I have those is that sometimes I feel like doing a bit of harvesting or a bit of growing or something. For example, I bought the DLC pack that's got the beetroot and the carrots, and I really enjoy planting beetroot and carrots sometimes and doing those, although I normally have to hire a tractor for some of the bits of it, because even my biggest tractor, which is 105 horse, won't pull some of the carrot things it needs. And so some of the jobs you have to do carrots I can't do with a 105 horsepower tractor, and I don't want a bigger tractor, so I'll just hire a tractor for that occasion. But yeah, so on the whole I don't do crops, and when I do, it's not for money, it's for the enjoyment of doing it. So the only money I make on this game is from selling milk primarily. That's the main way I make money. Also selling any excess silage bales I have, but I don't have that many excess because the cows go through it like you wouldn't believe. On this particular map, the cows are exceptionally hungry, probably because I'm playing on 2-day months, and it's not really designed with that in mind, and they've calculated the amount of food based on how much a cow would eat in a month. So when you're playing on 2-day months, it works out how much a cow would eat in a month, divide that into half, and they eat that much every day. So it's a very big job to keep the cows fed. Hence I don't have a lot of bales left over for selling, but I do occasionally. And then the other way I've got of making money is every time my cows give birth, I sell the bull calves straight away, the male calves. The female ones I keep for a bit longer, feeding them on milk powder and things until they get bigger and worth a bit more money, and then I sell those. But that's the only ways I've got of making money. So, but it still seems to build up too fast, even just with those ways. Okay, take this tractor back now because I finished wrapping all those bales. I love these little single lane country roads, I really do. A lot of the Irish maps have very narrow lanes like this. I really love them. In fact, there was one map on, I think it would have been FS19, which had very narrow lanes like this with little passing bays here and there all along them, and it actually had AI cars going one way along those roads. So if you were going the other way along it in your tractor, you actually had to look ahead, see if anything was coming, and pull into one of the passing bays to let them past if they were. And that was really neat. This map here, which is Ballyspring, at least one of the little narrow single lane roads does have traffic going along it. There's no passing lanes on it. It's not that long, so you just sort of look ahead, make sure nothing's coming before you pull out if you want to go in the opposite direction from the AI traffic. Okay. Drop that off. And I won't need the David Brown again at the moment, because the next job, which is to collect it in the bales, I'll need one of my bigger tractors for, so we'll go and put this one back. There, and take the pressure off the hydraulics before I shut it down. There we go. And Control T to lock it. I think I've covered that before, but in case I haven't, how the Control T works is if you look below the fuel gauge here, you can see if I press Control T, a little red circle appears around those two white dashes. And if I press Control T again, the red circle disappears. So that's a park vehicle mod. And what happens is if the red circle is there, you can't tab into that vehicle. You can still use it, you simply can't tab into it. And if the red circle's not there, then you can tab into it. So what I do is I keep all the vehicles locked, so with the red circle around them, when I'm not using them, and then I just unlock the ones I'm using at the time. And the advantage of that is, let's say you're doing a job where you're using, I don't know, let's say for the sake of the argument, a combine harvester and one tractor. If you lock all your vehicles except for that combine harvester and the one tractor you're using, then you just tab between those two vehicles, and you don't have to worry about tabbing through a whole bunch of others that you're not using at the time. So you're just tabbing the two. And one of the things I do using that locking tab like that is I always keep my trike there unlocked. And the reason why is the trike's normally parked in the yard here unless I'm using it, and it means I can always get back to the yard with just a tab button if I want to. So even if I'm way out in the middle of the field somewhere, I can tab back to the yard if I need to. So that's another good reason for using that park vehicle mod, it's called. I refer to it as locking the vehicles, but technically it's called the park vehicle mod. So put that mower away in the shed, and then I might go and put this tractor away and grab the 40 series. This is the 10 series Force 2, so not the Force 3 but the Force 2. The reason I use the Force 2 is because it has IC and the Force 3 doesn't. So that's the only reason I have the Force 2 instead. And I love having windows and sunroofs open on tractors whenever it's the right weather that I can, so I like to use the IC. You probably noticed that the David Brown tractor we were using before had the window open as well, the back window. That one wasn't IC, that's done on the mouse control, but I still like to have the window open. Lock that tractor, and now we'll hop into this one instead. Now this tractor here, I'll just unlock it, takes a bit of poetic license. So this one has also got IC, but this is a 40 series tractor, and as I've said before, my farm is set in the mid to late 80s, probably the late 80s, and I'm very well aware this tractor wasn't actually released to the public until 1991, so you couldn't have this tractor on a farm in the late 80s, but it's a game, so I'm using poetic license. I want to, I won't pick up those ones first. I want this tractor on the farm because I love this tractor, so I have it, despite the fact it doesn't quite fit year-wise. In the same way, the Jaguar that I've got parked at the vet's house, which we're heading that way now, so I'll show you that. That's also actually slightly too late for this map, but I couldn't get an earlier Jaguar car, and okay, I don't live in Ireland, I've never been to Ireland, so I stand to be corrected here, but my understanding is that there's a lot of British cars and British vehicles in Ireland, so I've sort of gone with that, with Land Rovers and Minis and the like to a large degree. You can see up here I've got the Jag XJ6, and that one's actually slightly too late. That's a 1990s one as well, but again, I like the car, I like the mod, I want my farm set in the 80s, so I just use poetic license for that. And since I'm the only one that's playing on this map, it doesn't really matter if it's incorrect as long as I'm happy with it being incorrect. Now, I used to use on this farm the bale trailer called the old bale trailer, made by 4D modding, and do really enjoy it, but because I'm now doing 6 fields of bales, which means I'm getting 50 bales every time I'm mowing lawns, it just takes a bit too long to pick up 50 bales all manually, so I'm using this bale trailer here instead. This one does only hold 8 bales, whereas the other one I could put 16 on, although it was a very, very big ask to ask this tractor to pull the weight of 16 silage bales. In fact, it just wouldn't do it sometimes on hills and things. The flatter paddocks, it's fine, I could fill up the bale trailer with 16 bales, but on the hilly ones I couldn't. Now, the gate that we came through to come into this paddock over there, I put that gate in myself, and the reason I put that gate in, the real reason, is because I like to drive down roads that have traffic on them sometimes, and that road there is one that's closest to my farm, which has traffic. So I just treat it as that stone bridge there, which is meant to be the way you come into this paddock. That's been slowly falling to bits for a number of years now, and just can't, or I don't want to risk the weight of like a heavy laden tractor and trailer like this over that bridge. It would probably collapse underneath me if I tried, hence why that other gate's been put in. Okay, so that's collected all the bales from that field. Now I can fit one more in for the next field before taking them back to stack. Well, I think this video has been going for 22 minutes now, and I think I've pretty well covered everything I wanted to discuss in this video, so I think we'll call that a day now, and I'll catch up with you again at some other point. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.